Hey there, welcome everybody. This is Justin Lott, the eProfessor, and in this week's topic, along the lines of staying with AI and the better use of it, ChatGPT or whatever other AI tools you may be using, we're going to stick in the realm of prompt creation today. Now, you may not know what prompt creation is. Prompt creation essentially is commands to build X, right? Whatever X may be. Build me the best cookie recipe. Tell me the 7 steps I need to mow a lawn. Write me code to build a chatbot. Whatever it may be, I can create that in here. Most people that have used AIs successfully have mastered this particular avenue of it. People that have done extremely well this have even mastered making money off of prompt creation. So it is one of the more essential categories to this. Now, I can't give you exact steps for every prompt because every AI works a little differently. Every tool that you are trying to use for it may have different ways of getting it done. Like for creating images, it's going to be a totally different prompt creation than it is for creating an outline or for creating material or for creating steps and guides or whatever, right? So it's going to be different for everybody, but I do think there is an essential skeletal structure and well as a basic understanding that you do this. And I think if you can master these various concepts at the very end, you will be able to craft your own prompts. Now, in the description, you will see I have various prompts. I will show you, I'll give them out to you. You guys can have access to them. That's not a big deal. I will have them there for you. But whenever you want to do something a little more unique, hopefully you can follow these basic parameters, basic steps, guides that will help you kind of move forward in this realm. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. Now, the very first thing I want to tell you about prompt creation, the very first thing I want you to make sure you understand is understand what your objective, your goal is that you're trying to accomplish with this. Now, um, I'm going to tell you this from this regards that prompt creation is extremely important for you. But if you don't know what you're trying to create and you're just playing around, you're going to get play around results. So, are you trying to create a guide for first-time homebuyers? Are you trying to create a listing presentation? Are you trying to create social media content? For who is that social media content for? We'll talk about that a little bit later. But, what are we trying to do? What is the goals for this? Are you trying to, what's the goals? Are you trying to gain more listings? Is this just purely branding and brand awareness and exposure to you, right? What is the goals you're trying to do? And you want to be as specific as you can. It's not any different than when you goal plan first a year. What are those wants? What are those needs? And how do you get through that? So I want you to make sure you understand your objectives and goals, depending on how you like to look at that particular item. Now, I'm going to pause here real quick because I probably should have made this one. But two, I want you to really kind of understand what AI is right now and some of the limitations. So the way I kind of explain AI right now is I want you to understand that AI is new, right? It's always learning. We don't have all the database file. If you're using ChatGPT, it is actually April of 23 right now. So it's still missing some 12 months of data that's out there. Now, other AIs, Llama from Meta, Gemini, they do say they have other ones out there. There are a bunch of AI tools, so maybe use some other ones that have more up-to-date data. But I also say the learning is fairly nuanced in the fact the way I typically describe this is I want you to think about this as like you're talking to like a 3-year-old, 4-year-old, maybe even a 5-year-old kid, right? We have to be very basic in our conversation. We have to be repetitive in what we need to do. And we have to keep things in short, biteable chunks. I call them steps, right? I believe in stepping out our prompts to get what we're looking for. And I will kind of talk about that a little bit later. But understand that you will need to understand that this is very young in its avenue. It's very complex and very powerful. but it will require us to need some of our own oversight, some of our own viewing. You just can't go have it look at the data and make sure it's correct. There's going to be inaccuracies. There might be some things, especially for us in our realtor world, that you just can't use because it's not going to be compliant based on our ethics, fair housing rules that we live by. So you're always going to want to make sure you understand that as well. And you also always want to understand the context that it's in, right? So we can teach it how to communicate in various formats. So that's actually probably step one. Step two is what I talked about earlier as far as understanding your objective. Now, the third thing is being very concise, right? So as an example, I want to create social media content for first-time homebuyers. Or let's just leave it simple. I want to create social media content for home buyers, for buyers or sellers, whatever. Right? I could actually put that in there. Give me 5 social media posts for real estate, and it would give it out there. And it's fine. It's not bad. It's going to be useful. But is it going to be effective? It's not going to be effective because I haven't been precise. I haven't been exactly trying to identify what we're trying to do or what the goals are within it. That was a very basic prompt. Now, I will tell you, I think shorter matters, and I will stack these prompts out to get it done. And I will here in a little bit give you an example of what I mean by that. But I will be very concise in those prompts. Now, what does that mean? That means adding context into the conversation. That's kind of my step 4 inside, or step 5, I guess, really, in here at this point in time. Where I want to make sure I'm telling it, well, who's the social media content for? First-time home buyers, luxury, move-up buyers, move-down buyers, a neighborhood, an area, a community. Who am I writing this for? What's the context I'm doing this for? What am I trying to get from it? Is this informational? Is this an engagement conversation? Is this a value add? Am I trying to get them to sign up for a landing page of some sort? What is the end goal? So the more precise I am making these posts, I can get out there, right? So remember, the first example I gave you, give me 5 social media posts for real estate. Okay, it would tell me things like, here's a buying tip, here's a selling tip, here's this. Okay, but if I'm trying to be more precise, I want an outline. I want 5 bullet points on how move-up buyers can move in Wheaton, Illinois. And it would give me 5 new posts because I'm being more precise. But again, I didn't get the context in there. So what's my goal? What am I trying, or my objective? What am I trying to do? Give me 5 move-up buyer social media posts for the purpose of building a landing page so people sign up for my move-up buying seller's guide, right? So I can put that in there, right? That'd be one of those things. Now it has those landing pages. That's where the context matters. I could also start adding things in there for context, saying, okay, that's fine. Let's talk about hitting the key motivating seller movements, or hitting the 5 key factors of fears sellers have today, right? I can put those in there. So the more information I put, the better I do. That's where that's going to come into play to make this a little bit better and a little bit easier. So again, we have our audience, which I didn't even mention in here. So we talked about understanding your objective, being concise and clear, having context matter inside there. And then also consider that audience, identify who that audience is, whoever we're talking to. Now, the other thing I'm going to tell you is you're going to have to play around with this a little bit to make sure you understand what's happening, you're going to have to step this out. And that's what I'm going to show you. I'm going to actually bring up my screen here in a second, and we're going to actually just play with this. And I'm going to show you how this works in a very easy manner. But I did want to kind of walk you through this real quick, just so you can kind of understand what I'll be showing you here in a second. But you want to play with this, and you want to move around, and you want to build it up and put it into practice and put it in there. So let's screen share this so I can show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so here we go. Now I'm here on the screen, and what you will see over here is I have my social media posts. So remember, context and these kind of things matter. So one of the things that I like to do when I'm building context inside my social media to make sure you understand what's going on is I wanted to know who it is. And since we're using the example of social media content, what I want them to be is a content creating expert, right? So I always like take on the persona of a social media expert in the real estate industry. Say yes or no if you understand. Now, I'm saying say yes or no if you understand, because again, remember, sometimes this is a 3-year-old kid and it wants to start expanding on better information. It wants to start telling you what it thinks it wants. And I don't want it to do that. I just want it to take this step and bite it out and put biteable chunks. Okay, great. Now remember, I got to give it context. I need content for move up buyers in Wheaton, Illinois, that eventually will sign up for my move up buyers seller's guide. Say yes or no if you understand. Remember, I'm stepping this out and I'm adding context. And please understand, when I look at this, what I've done in here is I've told you who I'm working with. Move up buyers. They're in Wheaton, Illinois. And I want them, this is my objective, to eventually sign up for my seller's guide. Say yes or no, right? So they're understanding more and more. Okay. Next thing I'm going to tell it in here is I want it to now here's what I'm doing. I'm starting to step into this. So what I want to do is start telling me what's going on. And I'm going to look at this. And if I like these, I'm going to keep them. If I don't, I'm going to have it replace some of these that are here, right? These are all great identifiers that are happening in the tool, right? These are things that are going to help make life just a little bit easier for you. So what you see in here, right? I see space requirements, motivators, they need more space, location upgrade, desire for better location, lifestyle improvements, moving to areas, financial investment, changing needs, financial strain, timing. Okay, I like these. These are great. These are great opportunities. Now, I want social media posts, right? So this is what I want in here. Now, when I'm looking to do this, I And we will say create 10. Remember, specifics help. Now, I know some other tricks, and I'm going to show you one of them in place here for this. One of the other tricks I do is I like following in. Now, what I probably should have done in all fairness, but I can catch it up here now. I should have put this in place here, telling you what some of the things that I do and how the business I follow, right? So now I do this. Now it's going to say, now, when you're seeing these posts put in place here, some of the things that you are going to see in here happen is they put hashtags. They put hashtags in here because I have taught it in the past. I want hashtags for this stuff. So that's what it's putting in here. If you don't teach it, that's why you're also seeing emojis that's putting it in there as well. But you're seeing this in place. So you're seeing in here, it tells me exactly what's going on. Post one says educational. It's right here's the dream post. Here you go. I got it in place. Jab again, jab, 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 right hook, soft sell. Feeling cramped in current space, it might be time to consider move up. Download our free move up sellers guide. Boom. Right. It's probably using like a 60-40 spread. You could do this at 80-20. You can tell you what you want to do. But I have actually executable resources now that will come into play for this to make this happen in here. So for those of you guys who are listening to this on a podcast form, come into the YouTube, find this episode. You want to watch this in here. There'll also be a guide for you guys on YouTube. They'll show you the exact same things in place. But this is something you want to do, right? This is much more specific. It's because I created the prompts to tell it exactly what to do. Now, again, since I told you I stepped into it, notice when I stepped into it, I asked for steps, identify, create this. If I didn't like something, I could change it. And I kept stepping in so I get more in place. This is the key to this. Now, I'm probably not done, right? Because if I'm trying to create posts, I need images. So now I can come in here and say, okay, for each post, create a section for image description and add that description. Why do I want that? I could take this into tools like Canva. I could take this into other places that are out there and put it in here and have it in place for that. I could use Canva to create images for me. I could use ChatGPT, which I got right here, to create images for me. I am paying for it. I could use Midjourney, which is also a paid platform for creating images. You have a lot of them out these days. Llama does some of that stuff. Microsoft Copilot will do some of that stuff as well. There are a bunch of tools in place, but notice it is telling you what it wants. And I can get more specific. Now, maybe I don't want this to be only in Facebook. Maybe I want this to be in Instagram. Maybe I want this to be in LinkedIn. Maybe I want this to be on TikTok. Right? Who knows what I want this for, but I could put this in place, right? So I could have this in here. I could put this in place. So I could come in here and say, recreate these posts for LinkedIn. Focusing on focusing on the point that LinkedIn is designed for the business professional, right? And now I've got more context. I'm getting more information in place. So this is what we're trying to do in here to make this work for you. I just wanted to give you a quick little tutorial on this to show you what's happening, because I think this matters immensely for what we're doing today in real estate and how you're going to use AI just a little bit better. So with that, remember the steps that I have in here is remember that this is a young tool still and it has a lot of context, and it's going to be best if you put your context into this, not using other information out there. So using that stuff, I'm not saying you can't have it go search for Wheaton information and talk about the 5 best restaurants or whatever, right? I'd much rather see you guys tell you what the 5 restaurants are and then write about it, but you could do it. 2, come in here and understand and make sure your objectives are clear, establishing exactly what you're trying to do with this. 3, identify and be very concise about what you're doing towards those goals. Understand context matters. 4, because when you're doing on this, context is going to change how this stuff comes into play. And then the 5th thing I'm going to put in here is please make sure that you step through the process. If you write too much, it just gets too hard. I try to keep it to 1 to 2 sentences at all times to make sure this works. I really hope this helped you a little bit understand a little bit more about prompt creating and prompt writing inside of any AI, but this is obviously a ChatGPT example, but any AI is going to fall under these basic rules. Master prompting will master your results. Have a great day.